right, boys. So, today we're going to be doing a Minecraft tier list ranking every mob except for the sniffer and the camel. Uh, we're going to be ranking them based on how much they contribute to the game and my personal preference. So, you may have different opinions, but this is just how I personally would rank every mob in Minecraft. So let's get right into it. The cow. The cow is generic. It's a simple mob. I think it's okay. It's decent. There's not much to say about it. It's been in the game for a while. Yeah. Very same for the sheep, actually. These both are quite generic old mobs, and they're generic. There's not much more to say about them. They produce good resources like leather, wool, beef, mutton. Those are all good resources, but generally, as far as a mob goes, they're not very different or special. So we're going to have to put them right down here and okay. Next, the fox. Now, I actually don't like the fox very much. A lot of people do. A lot of people say it's very cute. I just don't see it personally. So I'm gonna have to put the fox in the bottom of okay. Like I just don't really see the appeal of it. It like carries stuff in its mouth, but apart from that, it's not much else. The bat's straight and bad. Bat is completely useless. It did get retextured recently, but it's dumb. It's I just don't see why you would have it there. I just the bat, ladies and gentlemen. It's it's what it's marketed as. A bat doesn't do anything. Anyways, chicken. Also gonna go with the cow sheep. Above the fox though, because I do think that it's more of a classic mob that I just enjoy more. For example, it's a good food source. Meanwhile, the fox, literally all it does is hold things in its mouth. Cod. It's a fish, and there's not much to say about it. It drops fish, so it's better than the fox, but nothing else. All right, the ocelot. I think that the ocelot used to be amazing, but then they added cats, and they basically made ocelots redundant. And they're just like more ugly cats, so they're just going in bad. They basically have no use being in the game. You could simply just have them like it just doesn't make any sense. Anyways, moving on, the pig. The pig, great source of food, better than the chicken. It's just a good source of food that can carry you throughout a very large portion of progression. And again, it actually gives something, unlike the fox. Now, why am I being so harsh on the fox again? I just don't find it very fun. I find it like you see it, you're like, oh, fox, and then you wander off. Like, there's nothing more to it. Snow Golem, though. The Snow Golem is an amazing for sure. The Snow Golem is a unique mob that has snow trails come out when it walks. You can shear its pumpkin head to reveal a snowman. And you have to actually build it in your world, which I think is very cool. I think it's unique. Very similar with the Iron Golem, but we'll get to that later. The rabbit, also bad. It's gives you worse leather. I mean, I guess it's the top of bad, but even still, like, it just doesn't do much. It's cute, though. So, in that respect, actually, I think it can go above the fox here. It's a more useful fox that I just enjoy seeing a lot more. Salmon. Salmon is gonna have to be slightly better than cod, but that's all you have to say. Salmon, cod, basically the same thing. Though the salmon does drop bones, but that's like no one does that. No one gets bones from salmon. Anyways, mushroom cow, amazing creation. I think it's really unique. I think it fits Minecraft. I think it's really is just a cool mob. The fact that it can get struck by lightning and turn from red to brown and then produce stew is really, really cool. I just think it adds a lot to Minecraft, and I think it's unique because it's on a very rare biome as well. So for that reason, I think it's actually just below the snow golem, because the snow golem is still a lot more. You can interact with it more, which I find a bit more interesting. And I think personally, snow golems are much more visually appealing than mushroom cows. The squid. Squid gets a lot of hate. It gives you black dye. Black dye is annoying to get, and it is one of the sources for that. Their AI is really dumb, though. They have the ability to get away fast if you hit it, but usually you're one-shotting it anyways. It's just, and it's visually not a very unique mob. Again, another mob that was adapted from the real world. So I can't put it anything higher than above the rabbit. Now, here's the Strider. Is the Strider ugly? Yes, the Strider is very, very ugly. But it's cool, it's unique, and I love it. Why do I love it? Because it incorporated the quote unquote fish out of water mechanic, but made a twist of it and had it with lava. So the Strider feels warm and happy while it's in the lava, but whilst it's on land, it gets cold because there isn't enough heat around it. And I just think that's really cool. That's unique. You can also put saddles on them and ride them across lava as a way to transport yourself. It's really, really good, and I like it a lot. So for that reason, I do think that it goes above the mushroom cow for me, because I do actually see Striders a lot more often than I do a mushroom cow. Tropical fish. Tropical fish are just more visually appealing fish. There's a very large variety of them, and they're just fun to look at. They're great ambience mobs, which just add like passive viewing pleasure whilst in a coral reef, which I just find very nice. The turtle. Here's the thing with the turtle, right? They're very cute. Um, they're quite annoying to find sometimes. And usually the only time you're trying to find them is so that you can get a water breathing helmet from turtle scoots. Now, how do you get turtle scoots? Well, you have to breed two turtles together with seagrass. Then you have to wait for them to lay eggs. Then you have to wait for those eggs to grow up. Then you have to wait for the baby turtle to grow up. Then once they grow up, you get a scoot. How many scoots do you need to make an aquatic helmet? You need 5. That is an incredibly long amount of time for something basically equivalent to Aqua Infinity. And for that reason, I just can't put it higher than great. I think it's cool, but I just don't like it very much. Like, it's just such an annoying process to get the unique item that it does have. So, yeah, I would say the bottom of great. Almost okay. The villager. I have a love-hate relationship with the villager, as I'm sure many players do. The villager has the incredibly overpowered mechanic of being able to trade with it. And trading is very useful. It gets you a lot of items, but the problem is it's too powerful. It takes away from game progression. It makes you feel less good about your builds and survival, in my opinion, because you're not getting all those materials yourself, or you're not getting it from a farm you built. You're just trading with the villager. And some may say, oh, well, you spend a lot of time getting that very high level villager. And whilst I agree, it does take a lot of time, it's still very uh, absurd how wide of a variety the villager covers with its trades, from bricks to diamond tools to wool to arrows to tipped arrows. It just goes on and on and on and on, and a extraordinary amount of the items in Minecraft can be traded with villagers. And I just don't think that that's a very fun way to play. And I think over relying on them gets very, very boring, and you don't feel like you're accomplishing much because it's just one building filled with a ton of villagers, and then you go in and trade with them, and that's about it. It's not interactive or anything else of that matter, unfortunately. So I can't rank it any higher than a great. It's extremely powerful, and that's why it's that high. But overall, I just think it's too powerful and brings down later game Minecraft. Now, the Wandering Trader, automatic bottom of bad, because it has all the properties of all these annoying mobs right here, except it also has llamas, which do damage to you, and that is annoying. Yes, you can get leads from the llamas, but usually, if you're going to use a lead, you can most likely use some other form of lure, like a wheat for a cow, or a seed for a chicken. It's just an incredibly annoying mob. There's no explanation needed, to be honest. Pufferfish. Pufferfish is a more unique variable tropical fish. I think it's very fun. I think it's very nice. And I do think that it is a good addition to the game. It can be used in combat. It poisons. It blows up in your face when you get too close to it. It's just a fun mob. Is it annoying in the moment when you get poisoned? Yes, but I still find it very fun. Less can be said for the axolotl. So the problem with the axolotl is that it was marketed as this underwater wolf. The problem with that is that no one is underwater enough for you to have to actually need an underwater wolf. The argument can be made that you don't really need a wolf at all because they're annoying, they get in the way. Now, axolotls, their bonus is that they can play dead, they can regenerate their health a little bit, they can go out on land for a little bit longer than you would expect, and you can carry them around in a bucket so you can always have them with you. And that's nice, and they're a very cute animal, but I just don't think that they get used for their intended purpose a lot, and that brings it down to the to I think the top of okay. Like, I can't rate it any higher than that. It's just it fails to deliver on its purpose because no one uses it, and that is unfortunate. Now, here's the glow squid. A lot of people hated it because there was the option for the isolager during that mob vote when the glow squid was picked. I don't think it was that bad of an addition. I think it was a cooler, more interesting squid. I think the fact that it increases the liveliness of the underground, I think is really good. I think the fact that it drops glow ink is really, really nice. Glow ink is used so often on multiplayer servers and really, really useful to see things from a distance on a sign. And though people complain about it basically not even glowing, I do think that glowing signs are really fun and useful, and that all exists because of the glow squid. So I'm gonna have to put it above the turtle, honestly. I just think it's a way more useful item. It's not a bad looking mob. Like, it's a good looking mob in my opinion. So yeah, firmly and great. Now the horse variants. I rarely use a horse. Now, it depends on what It depends on what Minecraft player you are, because some players love using horses. Some players love breeding them to get the best stats on their horse. Some people love riding them into a PvP duel. Whatever you like doing with horses, at the end of the day, it's really impractical, but they're fun. I think the donkey is less fun than a actual horse, and for that reason it's going, I think, just below the chicken, actually, because it just doesn't feel as classic of a mob as the chicken, pig, sheep, and cow do. The horse, on the other hand, goes at the top of okay. The horse, I think, is much more known in Minecraft. It's much faster. It usually has higher hit points. It's generally, in my opinion, a more fun mob. You can also put armor on it, which is pretty fun because you can customize your horse the way you want to. Now, here's the cat. I think the cat is really cool because it has a very fun interaction with the creeper. It scares them away. When you think about it, it's kind of really funny because the creeper is not afraid of blowing itself up to kill you, but it is afraid of a tiny cat that's like a block tall and just meows and wags its tail. But that is terrifying to it. That is so fun, so unique, so funny, honestly. And there's a lot of unique cat variants. They spawn in villages. They are also cats, which are just amazing. And I honestly think this will be our first Unrivaled. Nothing comes close to it, in my opinion, when it comes to an interaction between it and another mob. It's a unique way of showing how the world works in Minecraft, and I think that's really cool. I think that shows a lot of depth, and I love it. Now, the parrot. The parrot is, here's my problem with it. It's like a dog, except you want to sit it down more. And when you already think of a dog, you always are sitting it down in a corner of your base, or at least I am, and forgetting about it. The same happens with the parrot. Unless you remember it's there, you're like, oh, that's great. And then you play a music disc, and then you watch the best part of this mob, the fact that it dances along with music discs, which is another very unique thing that I find very cool. And I think if more mobs, as of recently, had those same like fun interactions with the world, it could be very, very good for Minecraft. But that's a different topic. I also like that it has multiple different colors. I find that very fun. So I think, yeah, I think this is going to go to the top of great. I think it's just a fun mob. A bit more fun than the glow squid because it actually interacts with the world and you. Yes, it doesn't drop anything, but it's a good pet. And I just find that very fun. The mule. The mule, it's slightly better than the donkey. There's not much else to say about it. It's just, it's a slightly better donkey. It's between a horse and a donkey, and I just think that these more classic Minecraft mobs are better. Some people like donkeys, some people like mules, some people like horses, but none of them are really for me. That is, except for the skeleton horse. The skeleton horse is actually really, really fun, and I love it. I think it's cool. I think the way it spawns in through lightning storms is very fun. The fact that it spawns with skeleton horse riders on its back is also really fun. I just find it generally a really nice mob that, again, is very unique. You'll notice a trend. Usually, the more unique the mob, the higher I put it up on this list because I love uniqueness in this game. I find it very fun, and I find that's what brings charm to Minecraft. So, I don't see any other place I could put it apart from Unrivaled. Like, compared to all the horses, blows them out of the water. It's so much more fun. And it's a little bit edgy, yes, but it's just a fun, different way to visualize a horse. And I just think that that is just what Minecraft needs and what Minecraft has. And I'm glad that it has stuff like the skeleton horse. Now, here's the ally. There's a bit of a story behind the ally. I voted for it, for all intensive purposes, to be added to the game. The problem I have with it is that at the time, it felt like it would affect the game a lot more. But then I realized that it was more like a pet and not something passive that you'd interact with in the world. And because of that, I think that has a bit of a drawback with the allies, because the problem with pets is that they get in your way a lot, and that's the exact same with the ally. It's really nice that they can go pick up blocks for you. For example, say you're mining out a large chunk of terracotta for a project and you're missing a couple blocks, the ally can go pick it up. Or the ally can be used in farms as a pickup system. It's also just a fun, interactive way to visualize a pickup system, which is cool. But I just don't think that the ally brings a whole lot apart from that. And I just find them very strange. I've honestly only interacted with a couple in survival maybe twice since their addition back in 1.19, was it? I just don't interact with them a lot. And I think that because they're a mob that relies on player interaction, they probably should be a bit more prevalent, because then people will use them more, honestly. And for a mob that is so obscure and not used a lot, like, I honestly think people use or interact with, let's say, shulkers way more than LAs because they're on the line to progression. Shulkers are. Meanwhile, an ally is kind of far off to the side. It's like a huge time investment, can be, anyways. And I just generally don't like the ally, even though I did vote for it. So, but at the end of the day, it does have a very good ability to pick up blocks. So I think it's going to the bottom of great. The dolphin. I love the dolphin, actually. I think it's really cool. I think it's something that the axolotl struggled with, because the dolphin is a short interaction. The axolotl, on the other hand, is meant to be a pet. You're meant to keep it around with you, and you're meant to keep it close. Meanwhile, a dolphin is a short, not non-lasting interaction with a sea creature, which I think is cool because it takes the upkeep out of the whole pet scenario. It's not even your pet. You're just having a fun time with the animal, then it swims off. Or you swim off. And I think that's really fun. I think the fact that it speeds you up in the water means that you're like playing with the dolphin. I think that's very cool. I think that's very fun. And for that reason, I'm putting it above the mushroom, actually, just because I've actually had a lot of interactions through swimming oceans and then getting a nice speed boost. And because I interact with it a lot, I can relate to it a lot more. The polar bear, another bad. It just sucks. Like, it actually drops something, so it's better than these two, and it's not outright like impeding you at every turn like the wandering trader. But it's just not good. It's not a good addition. It just doesn't bring a lot. Like, I guess it adds some livelihood to the ice caps, but they were already barren floating pieces of ice. Like, it didn't really need much. Yeah, there's not much more to say about that. The llama's going right down here with the Wandering Trader. Is it cute? Yes. Are they annoying? Very much so. And I find that the annoyance heavily outweighs how cute the mob is, unfortunately. Now, here's the panda. The panda I actually really enjoy because it was kind of a bit of a side part to the main update. It was added in Village and Pillage, and a lot of people remember that as the Villager update, the one that changed how villages work. They added the raid mechanic, they brought a ton of new stuff to the game, but then they also added bamboo and pandas, which was a bit different from the rest of the editions, but I think it was a good addition. I think it was a playful one. I think it was fun. Uh, how often do I actually interact with them? Not very much. But unlike the turtle, they're not annoying. They're just a fun interaction that you pass by. For example, similar to the dolphin. Now, do I think it's as good as the dolphin? No, because it doesn't have as much interaction as the dolphin does. The panda just doesn't have a feature like the speeding up swimming. So for that reason, I think it's going to go at the very top of great. I think it's a great mob. I just don't think that it comes close to these top tiers. Now the dog. People love their dogs in Minecraft. We saw that in the most recent mob vote. People voted the armadillo in just because there was dog armor attached. So, what I think about the dog is I actually kind of mentioned this already earlier with the parrot. I take my dog, I tame it, I walk around with it on our first adventure, I keep it alive, I keep it well fed, and then I sit it down in my base to never be touched again. It's just the reality of it. I think it's the reality of it for a lot of people who play Minecraft, not just me. So, for that reason, I would rank it on Unrivaled, but I just don't feel good every single time I pass my dog. But I know it's better for them to stay in the base than it is to come out with you on adventures because it's a liability. It's annoying. It's dangerous. It's just not very fun after a while. And especially since there hasn't really been a change to the dog in a very long time, I just, I don't know. It just feels out of date to me. Anyways, and for that reason, it's going to the bottom of great. Like, it's still a dog. Like, it's still fun. It's still great. I would put it up here if I actually interacted with it, but to protect it, I always have to sit it down. I always do. And now moving on to the bee. I like the bee, actually. A lot of people didn't like the bee because it came in 1.15, the Busy Bees update, and it didn't add much. That update as a whole didn't add much. It added bees, it added honey, which are great additions to the game, but it was just missing a lot. It just was basically entirely built on bees. And that's great. It's a great addition, but I do think that it could have been incorporated into another larger update. Now, does that really affect how I'm rating the bee? No, but it is something to consider. The bee is fun. The bee interacts with things in the world. It flies around. It comes into its hive. It levels up the honey levels, and then you can take honey bottles or shears and get the honeycomb or honey. Use that for whatever you want. It interacts with the night. It's never out during the nighttime. It always comes back to its hive. And it also goes away during the rain. It goes and stays in its hive during the rain. And I just think that it is a fun mob. I think that it flies. It's one of the very few mobs that fly in the overworld. I think the only other one being, depending on if you count, the LA and the Vex and the Phantom, I'm pretty sure, are the only ones that fly in the overworld. But correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, I think that does put the bee into... I actually think above the glow squid. I think honey is very, very, very useful. I think they're cute. I think they're fun. I think they bring livelihood to the worlds. And I actually do enjoy spreading hives around a base because they bring liveliness all over it. The gold the golem, or iron golem, the main golem, the one everyone sees all the time because it spawns in villages, but you can also build them, and I think that's really cool as well. They are not only very useful because they drop iron, and as we all know, iron is a very good resource, very useful, especially for machines and redstone and all of that. There's not much negative to say about it. It's a unique mob, just like the snow golem. It's fun. It's tall. It's a huge mob. It's one of the first very large mobs that they added to the game. And yeah, I don't think it deserves anything less than an unrivaled. It's better than its counterpart, the snow golem. It just is. It's a more, to me, it's a more interesting version because it is the village's source of defense. It has this kind of like lore or background to it, which I find just makes it more of a lovable mob. And now it's the goat. I actually think the goat horns are really unique. I think they're really cool. I was a little weirded out when they were first added. I was kind of confused. I was just like, but this is just a sheep that can jump. But I've come to appreciate it. Like I find it very funny when it hits you off a cliff, for example, or when it drops a horn, you blow the horn in a multiplayer server and it scares people, for example. I think that's all very fun, and for that reason, it's going into amazing, honestly. It has a very unique item that is very fun, mostly in multiplayer, but it's just a good mob. There's not much more to say about it. I'm happy that Mojang took the time to add it because I think that the horns were something that multiplayer did kind of neat. Spiders. Spiders are annoying. They're frustrating to fight. They jump at you. Um, and they're just very unpleasant. So for the normal spider, I'm going to put it at the top of okay. Like I find it like more fun than the horse because it has the unique ability, of course, to climb walls. Um, but I do find it very annoying, and that's why it's not in any of these tiers. Now the cave spider is kind of the same story. It's not anything special. It's just a smaller blue spider, but comes with the caveat that it has poison, and poison is so annoying. It can take you from a relatively healthy amount of health to two or half a heart or whatever amount of hearts in the blink of an eye. And that combined with a skeleton or a drop creeper out of nowhere, it is a significant reduction in your health, and that puts it at the bottom for me. It's such an annoying mob. Yes, you don't have to interact with it everywhere, but it's just so strange. And to me, that it's is where it is in Mineshafts. And yeah, I just find it very weird of a mob, and I find it very annoying that it has poison. I can't really connect with this mob on the same level of all these other ones. All these other ones like are charming, they're fun. The cave spider, it's not fun. It's boring. It's very annoying a lot of times. So yeah, pretty obvious. It's at the bottom of that. The Enderman, love the Enderman. I think it's really unique. I think the fact that it can teleport, the fact that it can pick up blocks, the fact that it drops ender pearls, it's a significant part of progression. It can give you other things to teleport. It's just filled with so many fun things, and it's 3 blocks tall. It's this giant, slender figure. I just love the Enderman, honestly. I think there is nothing wrong with it. I think from a lore standpoint of view, it's really, really fun. I think there is honestly nothing bad about it, and I do think it is better than the skeleton horse. I actually think it is better than the cat. It is just a perfect thing that encapsulates Minecraft. It is one of the main representations of Minecraft, that and the creeper. It is a known Minecraft mob. Anyways, let's move on to the zombified piglin. Now, these used to be called zombie pigmen. They did get changed in the 1.16 Nether update. I do like the change. I like the retexture. I think that it's unique that they can attack you in groups, or they're neutral to you if you don't attack them at all. And I think that the fact that they attack you in rare scenarios makes that all the more scary when it does actually happen, because you're not used to that. You don't normally punch them, or you don't normally hit them. And for that reason, I think that it's definitely amazing. I just think that it is an amazing addition to the game. It's, again, a very unique mob. It's a pig and a man and a zombie. It's all in one, and I love it. Next, the piglin. I think the piglin is a slightly less fun version of the zombified pigman, but it does also come with the ability to trade with it, which is something only unique to the villager. But I think it is a way better form of trading, because not only does it trade nether specific items, which helps with the theme of the nether, but also it attacks you in groups, and if you wear gold, you don't get attacked by them. And they have a very good AI where when they are scared of you, they run away, and then they're usually get into a bigger group and then come back, and it's this whole back and forth, and it really does feel a bit more like combat. For example, PvP, instead of you just walking up to a mob, swinging at it 3 times, and that combat's over. So for that reason, I do actually think it is better than the zombie piglin, because of the fact that it also has the trading. It's very useful, and it's a fun mob. Next, the evoker. The evoker is fun. It's nice. It's generally a good addition to the game. I don't hate it. I don't love it, because it is quite annoying to fight, quite powerful. It does add totems of undying, which I do think are a bit on the overpowered side. But I think they are cool. I think they are hard to get, as long as you don't build something like a raid farm where you get infinite, which I think is a little bit unfair, for sure, is the word that could describe it. And it does spawn spikes out of the ground. It spawns Vexes. Vexes can fly through walls. We'll get to Vexes soon, actually. So we'll save all the Vex talk. We'll save all the Vex talk for when we get to Vexes. Now, where do I put the Evoker? I think all of the Pillagers are actually going to go in Amazing. I think that they do fit the game very nicely. I think that they all kind of have the same gist. For example, the Evoker is the magic one. The Vindicator is the melee one with a iron axe. And the normal Pillager is one with a crossbow. Then there's also the Ravager. Now, I think the Ravager is probably the best out of all of these. Why do I say that? Because the Ravager is more unique. It's like this rhinoceros or triceratops like thing that pillagers ride, and it's fun, it's interesting, it's very just cool to see that happen in a raid. These are huge hulking creatures that would seem out of place in most parts of Minecraft, but they fit really well within the aspect of the raid. So yeah, they're just great. All of these are great. They are good. They're dynamic against the villagers, how they fight with each other, how one side lives in mansions, giant mansions, and outposts, while the other lives in widely dispersed villages. I think that's cool. It's a cool dynamic, and I think they're more fun than their villager counterpart because they're very varied and very unique. Now, the Vex. You either love or you hate Vexes, I think, because on one hand, they're really cool and have wings, they can fly, they can attack you from all angles, it can seem really cool, but when you actually fight one, you're just slamming your head against a wall because you are in constant pain because they do fly through walls. They can fly. They have iron swords. They do huge amounts of damage. They're incredibly hard to hit. They go through walls, so they can just fly away when they want to. And then they come out from behind another wall as a sneak attack. It's very, very terrifying to fight, and I love it for that. But at the same time, they're very annoying. They're much better than the cave spider, though, and for that reason, I think that they're going to go into okay, and not much higher than that because of their sheer annoyance of actually fighting the mob. Endermite, utter garbage. Slightly better than the Wandering Trader and the Cave Spider because these are just pure annoyance, and these are just, why do they even exist? Kind of similar to the Bat. Except they actually do damage to you, and I actually think that the Silverfish is very similar to that as well. Let's move on, though. Guardians. Guardians are really cool. They're really fun. They're really unique. I love it. I will always love taking on a temple. It never gets old for me. I find it very interesting, and I love building, like Guardian farms, for example. And I just find them like a very Minecrafty mob, a very like notable Minecraft addition that people can recognize, and I love that about it. I love its uniqueness, like I have said about a lot of other mobs. I actually do think that they are unrivaled when it, especially to other fish, but they're just so cool. They're so cool. They are wonderful additions to the game. There's not much else to say. The feeling that I get from taking on a temple can never be beat, honestly, in this game. I love taking on temples. So, the Shulker. The Shulker is annoying. Summarized, plain and simple there, it's annoying. It blocks projectiles, it levitates you up in the air, then drops you. It's really, really frustrating. Normally, you are equipped to handle a couple of them in an actual fight. I normally never end up actually dying to them, but they just slow down the process of actually looting a end city drastically. And for that reason, I just don't love it. Yes, it does produce shulker shells, which are used for shulker boxes, and everyone loves shulker boxes. But it's unique. I just don't see it going any higher than the top of great. It's so annoying. Yes, it produces shulker shells, and that is the only reason it is this high up. It would be in bad if it didn't produce shulker shells. But anyways. Um the husk. Well, the husk is just a variant of the zombie. It's a less classically known variant of the zombie, and I just don't like it. I find it annoying that it gives you hunger. I find it very frustrating. Is it unique to the biome? Yes, but it's just a remake of the zombie, and for that reason, it's going down here. Same with the stray. It's very frustrating. It doesn't feel fun, it feels frustrating. Whereas the Guardians, they're powerful, they can be annoying sometimes, but majority of the time they're fun because they are strange and weird and goofy. Now the Phantom. The Phantom can, we all know where it's going. It ruins your game. It does. It, if you don't sleep constantly, then you can't do anything over ground. You can't. It's not possible, and it's so annoying when that happens because When phantoms spawn, I always know, oh, I have to go get a bed. Oh, wait, I don't have a bed with me. It's just this whole ordeal, and I think everyone can agree it was a mistake. Uh, the Blaze. The Blaze, really fun, really unique. I actually think it's up here with the top with the snow golem. It is just so fun. It is very strange. It's wacky, but it's cool. It's unique to Nether Fortress. It makes Nether Fortress a dangerous but cool place. I just don't really have many negative things to say about it apart from then it's not as good as the top tiers. The Creeper. I don't think there's any explanation needed for this, but I'll go a little bit in detail. What do you think when you think Minecraft? This mob right here is exactly what you think. It is the defining symbol of this game. And I think that is so cool. And its story of being created by a mixed up pig rendition, I think that's so cool. I just think that its ability to literally blow you up no matter what health you have, like, it does a lot of damage, especially on hard mode. And I just think it's a very annoying but charmingly annoying symbol of Minecraft. And for that reason, it is at the top. No other mob comes close. It is just the most recognizable. The Ghast, also very high. I think it's below the Ravager, though. I think the Ravager is a bit more unique, a bit more fun. The Ghast is kind of similar to the Blaze, but it can spawn anywhere in the Nether, and it can blow blocks up, which is very dangerous when bridging over lava pools, and I think it adds that extra level of danger, which is really fun. And of course, the Ghast is really unique. It is a Minecraft mob. It is known from Minecraft. It was never created anywhere else, unlike a lot of these mobs where they were brought in from the real world. Magma Cube. I think the Magma Cube and the slime go in the same place. It's like mid okay. They just honestly don't. They they aren't great. They're big slimy blobs, but loads of games have used slimes and giant things like that as the basic mobs, and they I don't know, they just don't feel very unique to me. I think they're cool. I think they're actually, I'm being a bit harsh. I think they're better than the spider for sure. I actually like the normal slime more than I like the magma cube, because the magma cube now, all it reminds me of is the worst nether biome, the basalt delta. Um, Silverfish, slightly better endermite, because the endermite can actually has a higher chance of killing you because it can knock you off the edge when you're purling, knock you off the edge of something when you're purling. It's just not fun. Skeleton. Right here. With the Ravager. Right here with the Ravager. This skeleton is just fun. It's interesting. It's a classic bad guy, and it works well in Minecraft. I think the zombie is slightly lower down. I think zombies, because of how frequently they spawn, are just get a bit boring. Now, of course, it's still an amazing mob because it's classic. It's a Minecraft. You know it from Minecraft. And of course, you don't know zombies from Minecraft, but you know the look of the Minecraft zombie. The zombie villager, I think, is slightly more unique, but it doesn't have that classic feel. So I'm going to have to put it below the actual normal zombie, and the drown is going to go above the zombie villager because it does get that unique trident, which is really cool, really fun. It also drops nautilus shells, it drops loads of stuff, and I actually do think that puts it ahead of the zombie. The wither skeleton, another 3 block high mob, love it. I actually think it goes right below the Enderman. I love them. They're fun. They're cool. They give you a dangerous effect, another dangerous aspect to the Nether Fortress. I just think it's great. All right. Not much else to say about it, to be completely honest. Now, let's do the Witch. The Witch is the ultimate support dangerous mob in this game. It heals itself, it gives itself fire resistance, it gives itself speed, it gives you slowness, it gives you poison, it gives you instant damage. They're very difficult to fight. They have a relatively high amount of health, and I do just think that they're fun, though. They're just fun. They're way more fun than the villager. I think it goes up here with the other pillagers because it also happens in raids, and it's a good mob. It fits with the raid, and I do enjoy it for that. And I do think that it's actually with the pillager family up here. Now, Hoglin and Zoglin, both basically the exact same mob, except one is very aggressive. It will attack anything. And I think that they're just a more fun pig. I love them. I think that they're quite fun. They're just great. I love them. I think that the Zoglin is actually more fun than the Hoglin. Yeah. There's not much else to say about it. They're just fun, big, toothy boar pigs that attack you in the nether. The Hoglins have the fun mechanic of being scared away by the blue mushrooms. I think that's great. I think that's fun. I think that, again, brings liveliness to the nether. The Brute. The Brute was actually added in 1.16.2, not during the main update, even though they are very dangerous. They are an incredible foe to fight whilst in the Bastion. They do tons of damage. They have tons of health. You have to avoid them. I think they're perfect for the Bastion, and for that reason alone, I think I'm going to put it right up here with all the other amazing mobs, right behind the Blaze, because the Blaze just feels a bit more classic to me. But yeah, I love it. I love its design. I love the armor gold plating on one arm, the gold axe in the other, the white eyes, the scar, the tooths sticking out. It's just all cool. And it's just a fun mob. I've said this about a lot of mobs, but it is just fun. It's good. It fits into place. It's amazing. Now, the baby zombie. The baby zombie, well, I think it's just a more annoying version of the zombie. People hate it. I hate it. Lots of people don't enjoy it. That's how it is. And there's not much more to say about it. It's more fun than the zombie villager, in my opinion. The fact that the zombie villager can be cured is pretty cool, but I do think that the baby zombie is a bit more of a challenge. And again, another classic Minecraft mob. A baby zombie is terrifyingly fast, and it is a fun, though challenging foe to beat, even when they are a lot of the times very annoying. Alright, so now we get onto the boss mobs. Our 2.5, 3, depending on how you want to count it. The Warden doesn't have a boss bar, it's meant to be avoided, but they're all very tanky, large, very strong mobs that I would all kind of consider in the same category. I think I have to rate all three of them in the same place because all boss-like mobs are very unique, different, very hard to come by in Minecraft. They're, for example, a game similar to Minecraft, maybe not in every way, but in a few ways would be Terraria, and it has a lot of bosses. Meanwhile, in Minecraft, it's a bit hard to come by. Anyways, apart from being sidetracked, I think all three of them have to go right here. Now, why do I say that? I do actually like the word more than these, and I'll get to that in a bit. Because they're not as cool as these mobs, in my opinion, because these mobs I feel like are a bit more iconic for the game, and I love that. And I love that so, so much. I do, in fact, think that these mobs are also incredibly iconic, but I just think that because they're a boss, you don't fight it as much as you would the average creeper, the average enderman, the average wither skeleton. You just don't. And because of that, you don't interact with it as much as you would other mobs. And that kind of seals the deal for me. Now, why did I put the Warden ahead of all these other mobs? Why did I put the Wither last? Why did I put the Ender Dragon here? I'm getting to that right now. Why do I have the Warden here? Well, because of how recent it is, how well thought out it was, how long it took to implement, but how amazing it is. How it literally terrifies you. I remember the first time jumping into Minecraft, seeing one of the wardens in an ancient city for the first time. I was shocked. I was genuinely terrified. I was more terrified than I ever had been in most horror games ever. It's just such an amazing, terrifying, fun effect that brings so much to this game. And though the other bosses bring very fun aspects to the game, for example, the Wither brings this whole sort of progression in the Nether. Meanwhile, the Ender Dragon brings the end and is the final boss of the game. I do think that all three of them are amazing, but because the Warden and the Ender Dragon have their own specific biomes all built up around them, all so that at the center they can be the piece that brings it all together, I find that amazing. And that's why I have them in this order around the unrivaled tier. And finally, we get to frogs. The tadpole will go right beside the frog because they're the same mob. I think that the frog, it's a bit over animated and strange feeling for me. I feel like usually mobs with a lot of animation, for example, the Ender Dragon or the Warden, are very, very strong mobs. Like, the more animated the mob is, the more you can tell that's something I should be watching out for. You can see it in all very strong mobs. For example, you see it in Evokers. You see it in, like I just mentioned, the Warden and the Ender Dragon. You see it in very strong, hard threats. And you just don't see that in the Frog. I feel like, compared to all the other basic mobs, it's just not there for me. And though they are very cute and some would say derpy or whatever, they are not my favorite mob. And for that reason, our final mobs of this tier list video are going at, let's put them right below the glow squid. Right, so that just about wraps up the tier list that we have here. And yeah, these are my final standings. So phantoms, spiders, wandering traders, they're all in the bottom. Meanwhile, things like creepers, endermen, and wither skeletons are all near the top. Now there's of course tons to fill out the middle ranks. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of describing how I feel about all of these mobs and what they kind of bring to Minecraft and what they might be lacking. Thank you for staying along for such a long video, and we'll see you in the next one.